Okay, so there's something I forgot to mention. We're in philosophy now. Remember, philosophy means the love of wisdom or the love of knowledge, knowing. Now, Socrates said that in order to be a philosopher, you have to not be afraid of death. Remember, knowing is death. The biting out of the apple, that was death. Because God said afterwards, surely you will die. Death is also remember said knowing in the Bible is sex. When you have sex, you know. If you know somebody, people say there's a saying: if you know somebody biblically, that means you've had sex with the person. So what else do I want to say about? Okay, so it says you have to be willing to die. Jesus said in order to be his disciple, you have to hate your life. So, this is what he said to his disciples. In order to be my disciple, you have to hate your life. So you also see this, willingness to die. So one could argue that Jesus was a philosopher, according to in the story of the Bible. In Plato's stories of Socrates, Socrates is a philosopher. He's not afraid of death. He's willing to die. And we talked about death and knowledge being equivalent. What else? Okay, also I want to talk about there's 4 Greek words for love, and they represent each quadrant. Talk about Aristotle as the 4 causes. You look at all this stuff, you look at all the philosophers, period, and everything is based on the quadrant. But there's not enough time to go into all of it, and I have to look up the details for all of it. So, but if you want to look at the modern love types that Helen Fisher, who's a psychologist, uses, and she's important in these dating websites, her ideas. She says that there's 4 types of people, 4 types of lovers. There's the explorer, who has a active dopamine system, and that would be the artisan. There is the builder, who has a very active serotonin system. He is the guardian. There's the director, who has a very active testosterone system. He's the rational. And the negotiator, who has a higher estrogen system, which is a negotiator. She said there's also a possible 5th chemical that's maybe important for love. She says oxytocin, but once again, it's a possible 5th, and she equates oxytocin more with the idealist, the first quadrant. But there's really the 4. They say there's 4 love systems in the brain, and but if you look on more and more within biology and within everything, you see the pattern, you see the quadrant, you see the form. One thing I want to say too about, I think this is interesting, I was just recently watching another thing about philosophy of religion. I was watching a thing where they described how it was a Nova episode, or maybe it was Nova, I think it was BBC or something. But they were describing that the sociologists think the reason why the cross is such a powerful symbol is because it's a symbol of death. And you see Jesus on the cross, and he's dead. And they say that this is a powerful symbol that keeps people in line and keeps people in check. When they see death, it makes them sometimes become more conservative, makes them behave more, because it's always reminding them of this thing that they fear so much, the 4th quadrant, the knowing, the death. People are scared of it. So they say that this symbol of death keeps people in check. They say that that death also was used to keep people in check back in the days of the Aztecs. So what the Aztecs would do is they would line people in 4 lines, and then the rulers would kill off the people in these 4 lines and take out their hearts. The hearts was a very powerful symbol. Remember, the heart has 4 chambers, but they would just decimate people within these 4 lines. Thousands of people could die, were killed. As a sacrifice. But we see the symbolism with the quadrant. But they said that this was a method used by the ruling people to keep the people in check. I do think that religion hijacks Darwinistic tendencies, and what I mean by that